Money, they say, makes the world go round. But judging from the things humanity has used as payment, it's a miracle the world hasn't spun straight off its axis and into the sun. Economists like to imagine money as a sleek invention, rational, elegant, the grease of civilization's gears. In reality, it's been a glorious, centuries-long circus of weirdness, where people traded onions for brides, feathers for islands, and sometimes, quite literally, crap for cash. Let us continue our guided tour through humanity's strangest wallets, a journey through further currencies that demonstrate our species' deep and enduring relationship with collective nonsense. Picture the scene: a sun-baked warehouse in ancient Egypt, the air thick with dust and grain, and a worker proudly tucking his wages into a pouch. 3 mummified mice. Somewhere, the god of commerce weeps softly into a papyrus scroll. In certain temples and grain economies, small rodents were used as a unit of exchange or offering. It makes sense, in a darkly comic way. Mice were plentiful, portable, and apparently considered just dignified enough to substitute for copper. The Egyptian bureaucrat's nightmare? Not embezzlement. It was the smell. Historians like to remind us that money is whatever people agree on, which is comforting, until you realize entire communities once agreed to pay each other in small, desiccated corpses. Civilization, as always, is a fragile consensus held together by good intentions and dead rodents. Fast forward a few millennia and a few more revolutions, and we find ourselves in Soviet Russia, where toilet paper became the unofficial ruble of the black market. Forget gold. Forget diamonds. The true luxury item in a centrally planned economy was a clean wipe, when state-run stores ran out of basic supplies, which was often rolls of toilet paper circulated like precious bonds. A man might trade a roll for cigarettes, a train seat, or perhaps a date with someone impressed by his, shall we say, hygienic solvency. It wasn't just barter. It was the most intimate form of liquidity. If Adam Smith were alive, he might have rewritten The Wealth of Nations to include a chapter titled On the Invisible Hand of Personal Sanitation. And you thought crypto was abstract? Jump to the digital age, 2010, and meet Laszlo Hanyecks, a programmer who achieved immortality and lifelong indigestion by paying 10,000 Bitcoin for 2 pizzas. At the time, it was about $40. Today, that's around $600 million, depending on the mood swings of the market. This wasn't just the first Bitcoin transaction. It was the first time anyone realized how dumb being an early adopter could feel. Every May 22nd, Bitcoin Pizza Day is celebrated online, a mix of reverence and schadenfreude, like watching someone trade a Rembrandt for a cheese slice. Economically, it's the perfect parable. Value is whatever 2 people agree on, even if that agreement involves melted mozzarella and regret. It's also proof that the human desire to test new technology will always outweigh common sense. Somewhere, Laszlo is probably still eating pizza. Because what else can you do when you've lost a fortune in pepperoni? Long before crypto bros and their Ferraris, the swinging 1920s in America, the age of jazz, flappers, and ironic moral panic. Alcohol was illegal, but as always, capitalism found a loophole. In the speakeasies of New York and Chicago, bartenders were paid in cocktails, the very contraband they served. It's a wonderful symmetry. The supplier becomes a consumer. You pour 2 martinis, take 1 as wages. Economists call it in-kind remuneration. Bartenders called it just a regular week. This form of payment also solved a practical issue. Cash could attract police attention, but a tipsy employee blended right in. It's probably the only economic system where GDP could be measured in hangovers per capita. And when you think about it, it's not that far from today's startup culture, where workers are compensated in exposure and company stock options. At least the Prohibition bartenders got something they could actually swallow. Something that was slightly more tear-jerking for our next candidates. By the Middle Ages, Europe had settled into the elegant art of subsistence. Coins were scarce, wars were plenty, and people had to get creative. Enter the onion economy. In some regions, onions became both wages and dowries. A good crop could pay taxes, buy land, or secure marriage. The bulb became a symbol of prosperity, and the only thing keeping peasants from complete despair. It was efficient, sure, but not without flaws. Onions rot, they sprout, they stink, which, coincidentally, is also a perfect metaphor for feudalism itself. When archaeologists unearthed medieval tax records listing 10 bushels of onion paid to the Lord, they didn't just find economic data. They found proof that Europe's backbone was not iron or gold, but salad ingredients. From onions we swim to Fiji, where whale teeth, known as tabua, once formed a sacred and monetary system. Each tooth was polished, oiled, and exchanged in ceremonies sealing marriages, alliances, or apologies. The whiter the tooth, the higher the prestige. The absurdity is that whales, being somewhat reluctant trading partners, made the currency inherently scarce. A primitive version of Bitcoin mining, but with more harpoons. Still, the system worked. The Fijian economy was backed not by GDP or debt, but by animal dentistry. It's capitalism with a bite. More animal parts involved when the French Canadians began trading with indigenous peoples and trappers. Coins were rare, but frogs were not. Some enterprising traders tanned frog skins and used them as low-value currency. Imagine pulling that out of your wallet at a tavern. That'll be 3 frogs, please. It's uncertain how widespread the practice was, but the symbolism is irresistible. In a landscape filled with pelts, fur, and fish, someone decided amphibians deserved a seat at the fiscal table. Economically negligible, yes, but at least it hopped along. This is also a reminder that wherever humans go, they will find a way to assign value to the weirdest possible thing. Somewhere, a Canadian accountant once balanced a ledger full of frogs and didn't even flinch. Meanwhile, in parts of rural India, dried cow dung cakes served as both energy source and informal payment. They were fuel, fertilizer, and financial instrument. The holy trinity of rural economics. Need to repay a neighbor? Stack some dung. Hosting a wedding? Offer a dowry of premium-grade patties. Inflation? Just wait for the monsoon. The beauty of the system was its circularity. Money that literally turned to ash. It made people resourceful and humble. You couldn't hoard wealth without attracting flies. Somewhere in this is an ecological wisdom Wall Street might learn from. From cow dung to bottle caps, humanity's gift for turning trash into tender seems boundless. When paper money fails, we simply look around, shrug, and ask what's nearby and mildly disgusting. In the confined economies of Nigerian prisons and refugee camps, bottle caps replaced official currency. Lightweight, colorful, and impossible to counterfeit without a beer, they became the de facto token for cigarettes, soap, and favors. It's the perfect anarchist microeconomy. Decentralized, tactile, and refreshingly useless outside its borders. Like crypto, but with better recycling. There's a tragic poetry to it too. Humans denied cash or liberty still create markets, complete with inflation, scarcity, and speculation. If civilization collapsed tomorrow, someone would be trading Nespresso pods for canned beans within a week. Humanity never stops innovating in the field of questionable currencies. Especially not humanity in Switzerland, the land of precision watches, bank secrecy, and lactose. Long before UBS, the Swiss Alps ran on a more fragrant financial system. Cheese as currency. Farmers paid taxes in wheels of cheese, and monasteries accepted it as tithe. You could deposit a cheese wheel in a communal cellar and withdraw it months later, slightly aged but still valuable. The first true interest-bearing account. It's no wonder Swiss banks became so powerful. They've been dealing with liquid, semi-solid assets for centuries. And unlike crypto, at least you could eat your losses. The global economy has always been held together by whatever didn't rot too quickly. Where the Swiss aged their assets, the Mongols just plucked theirs. Nomads of Mongolia, known for their pragmatic genius, once used duck feet and talons as barter items. They were lightweight, easy to count, and didn't melt like silver or stink like onions. If you squint, you can almost see the logic, until you picture a caravan stopping mid-desert to argue over the exchange rate between webbed and clawed denominations. It's proof that practicality often masquerades as absurdity. The Mongols conquered half the world with brilliant logistics, and apparently settled bills with poultry appendages. Genghis Khan would be proud. And finally, we chill with the strangest of all currencies, ice. In 19th century America, before refrigeration, ice harvested from New England ponds was shipped worldwide, and even used as payment in tropical colonies. Cold, hard cash was not just a metaphor. Ice brokers issued credits redeemable for future deliveries, an early form of futures trading that could, quite literally, melt away if you waited too long. Bankers measured wealth by the ton, and fortunes dripped away every summer. It was capitalism's purest joke. The harder you try to hold on to your assets, the faster they disappeared. Economically sound? Maybe not. Poetic justice? Absolutely. Across millennia, from rodent mummies to melting assets, one truth persists: money is not real. Belief is. Whether we trade feathers, cheese, or virtual coins named after dogs, the system works only because we all agree pretend it does. Every absurd currency is a mirror, reflecting not stupidity, but creativity under constraint. When the state fails, the market adapts. When logic collapses, irony pays the bills. And maybe, just maybe, the history of money isn't about progress at all, but about the endless human need to make nonsense meaningful. So next time your bank app crashes, remember, you could be getting paid in onions, dung, or duck feet. And honestly, would that really be any worse?